Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to Looplearnings. This is the next video in inventory management system. And in this video, we are actually going to wrap up the purchase order form and its related components. And in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to receive goods. And not only just doing that, we will see how to update the related tables as well. So there's a lot that I need to cover in this video. So let's just get right into it. But before I do that, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. In any case, if you haven't subscribed, why you didn't do that? It's free, my friends. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get notification whenever I upload a new video. So as I said in the last video, by the way, if you haven't watched the previous video, you should do that because this is the third video of the purchase related. Okay, so there's quite a lot that I've covered in the last two videos, especially for related to purchase. So you should watch those videos. But let me take you back to the presentation which I shown before, and that is this presentation. When I said, when I click on a receive button or GRN button, or essentially when we receive the stock, we want to not only update the respective table, but we want to update the inventory table and the accounting table. Inventory table to tell the sales team, hey guys, we have got the stock, so get ready to sell it. And that's why we have to update that. And the accounting table to tell them, hey guys, we have received some stock and we have to pay to this particular supplier. Now, having said that, let me have a bit of disclaimer here. And the disclaimer is this: whatever mechanism I'm demonstrating here in this video, this is quite a basic, very, very basic level. And by the way, this is just, I'm not inventory management expert, but I've been through some situations and I've seen that this is what exactly they look for. But if you are going to develop the actual inventory management system, very sophisticated software, of course their working is completely different. They have different transactions, and for everything that you do, the document is created, so there's a lot that goes on. What I'm demonstrating is just an example, is just a very, very basic level of inventory management. So it's nothing sophisticated here, nothing that is, I don't think this is an industry center, but just for the in understanding, I'm demonstrating this all these steps. But if you are developing application for someone, please make sure that you get in touch with the responsible people, respective people, who will tell you that what exactly they are looking for, and based on that you develop the inventory management system for them. All right, so I just wanted to get this out of the way, so we are on the same page. So we are learning here, and this video demonstration is purely for the learning purpose. You learn from here and you take the knowledge and then you develop whatever you would like to develop. Okay. Now, as I said, we are going to update three tables by clicking one button and this button. I'm talking about GRN. GRN stands for Goods Receipt Notification. And when I click on this button, three tables should be updated. All right, let's get right into it. So I'll go right click design view, right click here, design view, and I go to the purchase detail form. Now, in case if it is looking smaller, I apologize. I'll do the setting. This is my new laptop, so I had to get started with the video. It's been 13 days. I have not uploaded the video. So this is the first thing I thought I'll do it for you guys. So that's why subscribe. All right. Okay. The idea is when I click on GRN button, things should happen as I explained. But before things should happen, before the updation happens, I want a check mark, checkpoint. I want a bit of checkpoint that, hey, this purchase detail ID should not be missing. I want the checkpoint, for example, the status should not be status should only be on order, then this button should work only. And I also want the checkpoint that this receive quantity text box is not empty. So let's build that mechanism. We'll select the GRN button, we'll go data event tab, dot code builder, and here we are in the VB editor. So let's check it out. If nz me dot p detail id equals double quote, then if it is empty, then do cmd dot beep and throw a message box and say, hey, this action cannot be performed. Okay, so comma, we be critical, comma, information. All right, let's copy that because we are going to set other conditions as well. Else if, so we do a bit of change here. Else if me dot receive quantity, remember I said that receive quantity, if that is empty as well, if this, of course, when we're receiving stock, we can't just allow user to hit the GRN button without adding the quantity in there. Okay, so if that is empty, then also say, hey, this cannot be done. Please provide the received stock quantity, something like that. And you set the focus also. Receive QDY, set focus. All right. Now, next, I want to check what is the status of the purchase detail. If it is not on order, if it is anything else except on order, then throw a message box. Logically speaking, that's how it should work. All right. So let me copy this and let me paste here and let me get rid of it and just do a bit of change. If me dot status is not on order, then throw a message box and say, hey, this action cannot be performed. All right, we will not set the focus, and I will capitalize this P. Okay, now that part is done. Else, let's close that with end if as well. Now comes the major part of this video, so please pay attention if you're not. And the reason I'm saying that, we are going to update three tables. Number one table we are going to update is purchase details table. All right, purchase date, this is the column only. Status and the column, status and the receipt quantity we will update in this table. Then we will update the inventory table. Then we will update the accounting table. So three tables needs to be updated. So let's get back to VB editor, and we are going to update these tables using record sets. And to use record set, we have to declare some variables. And to declare some variables, we'll say dim QDY as a record set. Okay, dim inventory as a record set, dim accounting, all right, accounting as a record set. Okay, now let's come here and let's define what is QDY. So we'll say set QDY equals current DB dot open record set, and we are looking at the record set name. So I have to close these tables now because I have to copy the name of the tables. And the name of the table first we are going to copy is the uh, purchase detail, because this is the first table we are going to update. And here we go. Nope, not yet. So comma db open dynaset, comma dbc changes. Okay, that's it. Okay, let me copy this. How about that? Would you be okay with that if I will copy it just to save time? Inventory equals, so in here, instead of purchase detail, we are updating the inventory table. Okay, let me see if, what, let's copy the name of the table. I don't want to get error and silly error that, hey, this table does not exist. All right, then we will update the accounting table, and let me copy the name of the accounting table, and we will come here. Here we go. Okay, now we have set the variables, we have defined the variables. Now it's time to use these variables and actually put them into practice. Now the first thing, as I said, we are going to update the purchase details table. And to update the purchase detail table, we are going to edit the records, because we are going to only update two fields in that table, and that those two fields are receipt quantity and the status. So only those two fields. So to do that, whenever we are editing information in any of the table, we will first find the record. Okay, so I'll say qty dot find first. All right, what are we looking at? Well, we are looking at po detail id equals ampersand me dot po detail. There we go, p detail, not po detail. And this is going to be trouble, right? Now, why I'm looking for this, let me explain. I've already done that, but I will explain again. So this is the table purchase detail. Now this table will have multiple records, like thousands of rows and lines and records. But we want to search for the record which user has opened it, right? User has write it right in front of him or her. So we want to see that detail ID of that record which is in front of user, and we want to find that, track that in this record set. And that's why we have to find the record set. And the best way to find the record set is with the unique IDs, right? And unique IDs usually is the primary key. So this is the p detail ID. That's why we're looking for p detail ID. That's why we're finding it. Hopefully that's clear. Now, another thing I want to mention here, which I should have emphasized long before, but I have not. let me start emphasizing from now on, and that is commenting. Give a comment that what code you're writing, because let me tell you, after 1 week you come back, you have written the code, you will not remember why you have written that. So that's why the comments are very very important. So to do the commenting, you just put a single quote and just write it on why you have written that code. And I will say, to update the purchase details table. That's it. Now, if I come back after a month, after a year, I would know why I've written that code. All right. That's very, very important that we should adopt this practice. Okay. Now, once we found that record, what should we do next? Well, we will edit that record, right? That's what we are going to do. And let's close that also with update. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the status on the form itself for the status field. So I'll say me dot status equals, now the status, because we are receiving the stock, so it will be technically received. Now I will say qty exclamation mark rec qty equals me dot rec qty, right? So basically in the table, whatever the received quantity in the table, whatever it's mentioned here on the form, that flows into the table and gets stored in this column. And then the status also. So qty exclamation mark status equals me dot status. Simple as that. Okay. Now this should be enough. Now one table, we have written the code to update the one table. Now let's go ahead and write the code to transfer this information to accounting table or inventory. Let's first do the inventory table. So I'll copy these comments, I'll paste here to update the inventory table. Okay. The sequences doesn't matter, you can choose whatever sequence you wish to do so. And because we are adding a new record in this table, so we don't have to find any record, right? So we'll straight away we'll say inventory dot add new, and we'll say inventory dot update. Okay. Now what do we want to add? Let's open the inventory table, and I'm going to open that in the design view. Now, in here, we want to update the product ID, transaction date, transaction type, quantity, and status. So let's go ahead and do that one by one. And we'll say inventory exclamation mark product ID me dot product ID dot column 0. You must be thinking, hang on, what is this product ID? Where this has come from? Well, this is located onto this form. Now, from where product ID I'm getting, if I select the product ID combo box, I go to the property sheet, data tab, dot 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 row source, and here we are in column number 0, the product ID resides. Now you can see product ID, product name, supplier, cost price. Let me get another field which we will require later on. Okay, not now, later on. So let's close that. Now uh, I will come back to this. I'll come back to this. Let me add another column here so I don't forget. Later we don't get any error. And so, okay, so that is done. Now we will update the transaction date. So we'll come here, inventory exclamation mark transaction date, and the transaction date would be the date and time when the user will click a button. Actually, it should have a time also. So whenever you're doing the update, please do have a timestamp. Data tab, data type, I didn't have it. I just had the data date. I had just had the date data type. Somebody's shouting outside, so I got distracted. That's why I got stumbled a little bit. Sorry for that. Format, and the parenthesis open, and we are going to format the date the way we wish to, the way it works, hopefully. If we get an error, we will see later on. Now that's the now mean the date and time when the user presses the button, and we will define the format is day, month, and year. Okay. Now what is the next field? Transaction type. Now transaction type is also important, and I did explain that in the start. So when we are purchasing, we will have transaction type 1. When we are selling, we will have transaction type 2. When we are getting a return from the customer, we'll have transaction type 3. So that's why we will use transaction type equals 1. Right. Now quantity, let's see the quantity. What quantity? Here we will add the quantity equals me dot receive quantity. Now please pay attention here. Let me, I think I've done a mistake here. Okay, let me go back to this form. There are two quantities. There's one order quantity, another one is receive quantity. So in here, when you're receiving, when you're transferring the information to the inventory table, you're looking for received quantity. All right, that's very very important. So please make sure that you pay attention there. Okay, now that is done. How about the status? Now the status technically will be received. Inventory exclamation mark status equals me dot status, because we have already defined the status right on the top, right? Okay, so that is done. So the second table is also, hopefully the data is transferred there. Now let's update the third table, which is accounting table. So I'll change that in the comments. And same we will do like we did for the inventory table. We are not looking for any record to be updated. We are just adding a record. So we'll say accounting dot add new and accounting dot update. That's very important. Now let me open the accounting table the way I did for the inventory table. Okay, we'll give the reference ID and accounting exclamation mark reference ID me dot purchase ID. Now you must be thinking, why purchase ID? I think I have already explained, but I'll explain again. If accounting department is going to pay $3,000, $5,000 to someone, some supplier, they want to verify that what we have purchased, right? So that's why the reference of that purchase order number is important. So if they have to go and verify that purchase order number and see what is purchased, they can do that. That's why the reference ID is given first, then the transaction type. And so accounting exclamation mark transaction type equals one. And I'm not going to type it. I'm going to, all right, here we go. Then the next one is accounting exclamation mark product ID. And this resides in product ID dot column 0. Then we have the cost price. So accounting exclamation mark cost price me dot product ID dot column. Now at the moment I'll keep it empty because we want to see which column has the cost price. So we'll go back to the purchase detail form. We'll select the product ID. We'll go to data tab, row source, dot, dot, dot. And this is the cost price and selling price. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Number 3 is the cost price. Number 4 is the selling price. So remember that. We'll go back. And number 3 is the cost price. And we'll come here and we'll say selling price equals me dot product ID dot column. And what was the column number? 4. Now we are left with status, I believe. So status will be, we have already defined the status, counting exclamation mark status equals me dot status. There you go. Now, technically speaking, all the three tables have been updated with the information that we wanted to update with. Now we will move on and we will close these record sets that we have opened, and we will do that by qty.close, inventory.close, and accounting.close. We'll set qty equals nothing. We'll set inventory equals nothing, and we will set accounting equals nothing. Once we are done that, we will give a message box to the user, and the message box will be do cmd.beep message box. The product has been received. You can modify this message box the way you wish to do so, and it will be VB information, and the header will be information as well. After we are done that, we will update the list box, this list box on the purchase order form. So the status gets updated there as well. So we'll say forms exclamation mark POF exclamation mark list dot requery. I think we are done with this, but let's check it out. Looks okay. Let's debug. There's no error as of now, so let's check it out. And hopefully this will work, but let's see. So go here and the status is on order. I'll double click and open it. So if our code is correct and I click on GRN without adding the receive quantity, I should be getting an error. Hey, you have to provide receive quantity. So let's check it out. And rest assured, it is asking to provide receive quantity. The cursor is there. I should provide the receive quantity too. What if I'll put 3 or 1 instead of we're putting the right quantity, what will happen? Well, this can happen. In reality, we can receive short stock from the supplier, we can receive more than what we have ordered. This can happen. In both cases, we will capture in our database, but there has to be a separate mechanism in which we can notify to the supplier that we have received either less quantity than we ordered or more quantity than we ordered. So that is a different aspect that of the application, and I'm going to cover that, but that will be specifically for the member. So if you are a member and listening, you are going to see that video separately, in which I'll mention the short or access that and if you are not member and you want to learn how to handle that situation, yeah, well, easy. You click on the member button, you join the channel as a member, and you get to see that video. Okay, now let's get started and let's see if we put the right quantity as what we have ordered. Two quantity, we are receiving two, and technically we should be fine. And if our code is working correctly, we should be getting a message that, hey, the order has or the stock has been received. So let's click on the GRN button, and let's show the product has been received. Now you can see that the status is changed here, received with two quantity. And if I close that form, we can see on the list box this is also refreshed. That's why I put that line of code at the end, so we see that refreshed information on the list box also. You receive quantity 2 and the status is received. Now let's check it out in the purchase details table, inventory table, accounting table. Remember, three tables need to update it. So first we go to the purchase detail table. You can see that the two quantities received and the status is received as well. Now let's check it out, the inventory table, and you can see that the transaction date, transaction type, and the quantity and how much we have received, and the product which we have received. Now the third table that we have added the data into was the accounting table. In accounting table, we can see the reference ID for the purchase order number, transaction type, product ID, cost price, selling price, status received. So everything is working correctly. Everything, the data is going where it's supposed to go. Let's check it out. Let's mark others as, so let's say 4 quantity GRN. Let's receive this also, 3 quantity and GRN. There you go. Everything is received. Now, if we will open the inventory table, we can see there are 3 records. Accounting table should have also 3 records as well with different products, remember? And so this is how you capture the information. We are not done yet. We are still going to complete one of the other final aspect of the purchase order, which is to mark this purchase order as completed, because right now it is confirmed. So we want to click on this button, and the user should get a message box saying, hey, you really want to mark this as completed? So we want to make that mechanism as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to the design view. I'll click on the completed button. Let's give a name, first of all, btn complete. And now I'll go to the event tab. I'll go to the on click event dot dot dot, and we are going to use record set, and we are going to use the confirmation message box integer as well. So we'll say dim rs, not rs, dim response equals, not equals, dim response as integer. This is for this variable is set for the, remember, the confirmation message box I was talking about. But before I go ahead and throw a message box, I want to check a couple of things. Number one, I don't want the PO to be marked completed without the purchase order number. So I want to see whether that information is available or not. So I'll say if nz me dot purchase id equals null, then do cmd dot beep message box, and the message box will be this action cannot be performed. Okay, and comma will be critical, comma information. All right, else if me dot status is not PO confirmed, if the status is not PO confirmed, then through a message box that this action cannot be performed. So I'll copy paste else, and if, okay, now in here, remember, we will throw a message box. So to do that, we'll say do cmd.beep, and the message box will be response equals, oh, I need to type it correctly. Response is equal to message box. And what is the message box? Are you sure to mark this PO as completed? Yeah, you can write the messaging based on however you wish to write. Okay, I'll put not comma, dot, comma, VB question. plus will be yes no, comma, title would be choose an option. All right, something like that. Okay, parenthesis close. If the response is yes, then a couple of things should happen. Number one, the status should be updated here. The status should be updated here as completed. And not only just here, we want to update the database as well, which means the table, which is the purchase table. So that means we have to create record sets as well. We will come back to that. If response equals VB yes, then something should happen. Else, if the response is, you know, if the response user click no, then nothing should happen. So if the user click on yes, then what should happen? Then, well, as I said, we will update the table, database table, and we'll update that with the status of completed. So to do that, we will declare a variable dim update or dim completed as a record set. All right. So we'll set that record set. So first of all, we'll say me dot status equals completed, and then we will set the completed equals current db dot open record set. So we are opening the record set. Which one? Because remember, we have to update the table as well. dbu purchase, that's the table. And then we will have db open dynaset comma dbc changes. All right, so that's done. Now what we need to do, because remember this purchase table right now it has only one record. If it has multiple records, then we need to find the purchase id. So that we will do is we'll say completed dot find first, and what we are looking at, purchase id. All right, equals ampersand me dot purchase id. Okay, so we're looking at purchase id. Once we found that, we will then update the record. Then we will say completed dot edit, and then completed dot update. Okay, and in here we will say, all right, update the status field to completed. So we'll say completed exclamation mark status equals completed, something like that. All right. So that's it. And now we are going to close the record set, and we are going to set the record set equals nothing. And we will also throw a message box to the user saying that the PO has been marked as completed. All right, comma, will be information, not critical, and the header will also be information. One last thing we will do is we will update the dashboard here as well, this list box, and the status should be completed as well. So we'll say forms exclamation mark dashboard f exclamation mark list dot requery. That's it. I think this should work, but we'll only find out once we will test it. So let's go ahead and do that. Debug nothing, and let's test it out. Let's open. Right now is PO confirmed. We have received all the stock. Technically, we should be closing it. So let's click on that, and we get a message box. Hey, are you sure you want to complete? I'll say no, then nothing will happen. I'll click again, I'll say yes, then something should happen, and that is completed. PO has been marked as completed, and watch here the status on the dashboard, completed. Right, there you go. Finally, we wrapped up the purchase order and its related component. I know it's been 3 videos I'm focused on this, but it's very, very important that we have to do that correctly. And I'm glad that we have done it, and hopefully that you have learned something from this. As I said, this is just a bare minimum. This is not industry standard. This is for example. You take this example, you learn from this, and you develop the sophisticated applications on your own. So this is what I want to demonstrate. I hope that you have learned something. If you have, even if you have not, do let me know in the comments below. And if you like whatever you've seen, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, be a member, join the channel, and support me and support the channel as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.